Hey everybody, Invisiblekatana here with my review for the series premiere of What If, and I really enjoyed it. First episode was great. What if Captain Carter were the first Avenger? And it was amazing. Step over, Lady Cheese, because Captain Carter is here. We had some great animation. We had some great action. Skinny Steve Rogers was trying to get stomped on, which I completely understand because the whole episode was just like, this is super hot. This is super hot. And it was really good. It was really good. Like, she's hot. She fights. She was killing so many people in this first episode. It was hilarious. I was like, she's murdering everyone. Like, even her reaction, the first time, like, when she flips over the truck, she's like, this is brilliant. Let's give it another go. And then she just goes on, like, a pseudo murder spree. She's killed probably like 6 people, half a dozen people, I'd say, in that first part. Like, she was tossing motorcycles into motorcycles. I was like, that's an explosion. They burned to death. They're dead. Some people she hit in the head really hard. I was like, I don't think he made it. That was like some Batman type stuff. Like, you hit him so hard, I'm like, I think you killed him, dude. Like, brain damage counts. Like, he's dead, okay? So she killed a couple of people, and it was sweet. Like, when she had this scene where she's just like in front of the truck, and she's just going back and forth, like, I'm gonna swing and hit this dude, I'm gonna toss it to hit this dude, punch him in the face, throw it again. Like, it was just really fun watching it. Like, I love the action in this whole episode, and I was like, I hope that this really is like its own universe, because that was one of the things where everyone was like, okay, well, What If seems like it's going to be, here's this episode, here's, Captain Carter, and then here is, Black Panther, and then here is this, and these are all separate universes. But I'm pretty sure that the What If series is all one universe, and I hope that's the case, because Captain Carter is freaking amazing. Like, I don't think they could do it, as far as, because they mentioned like some of this stuff will probably roll over, because it's all canon. Some can roll over into live action. And unfortunately, I don't think it would work with Captain Carter because of the fact that, what they did with Steve Rogers was that he was overly skinny. And that was like the whole thing. Like, he was a super, super skinny person. But Haley Atwell in that was already just like an average woman. She wasn't like insanely skinny. And then she grew, in the series. So it would be like, if they did that live action, it would just be kind of weird because it would have to be like a bigger person and then her head on top of them. So it just wouldn't work, unfortunately. But I was like, dang, if there's anything I want to see automatically is Captain Carter in live action. I don't think it would, it wouldn't be as epic as it is in animation anyway, because they clearly show, once it comes to animation, they over exaggerate the powers just like they would, in the actual comic books, because there's some stuff you just can't do. When it comes to live action, you get some really sweet stuff, but you're not gonna have, even if it was Steve Rogers, if it was live action, you can't have Steve Rogers in World War II. And then he's going through and it's just like, all right, well, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to toss the shield onto this plane. I'm going to catch the shield in midair. I'm going to glide down. I'm going to bash through this plane, toss this dude out, just run through the whole thing. She beat the F out of that one pilot, though. Like, she just cracked the window and then she just beat him. And I'm like, he's dead. It's over. Like, it's over. He's gone. But once again, it was very entertaining. I love the music. Like, when they had time, the music to all the hits and stuff, that was really good. I was just like, this whole episode, it was just stylish. I just really like the style. That's like the one thing that I feel like I'm gonna miss, because I'm like, they can only do that once because it's in the actual era. Like, they aren't gonna have that, now that she's gone through the portal at the end. I was like, there's some stuff in this where I'm kind of like, I almost wish she stayed in the past like a little bit longer, just so we could have some of those moments, because I really like that. It was just like, here's the, just them timing it with the music and she's going through, and it was a little montage moment, but I was like, this is super cool. It's like some old time. It's not like, it's not what you would typically see as like montage music, because it's old-timey music. And it's just like, well, here we go. Here's some old-timey music, and she is wiping these people out. Steve Rogers is in like the first ever, Iron Man machine, and it's just really powered by the Tesseract and stuff, which is just really well done. I thought that was a cool way to do that. But the action was just so good. Like, that was definitely my favorite part, like watching her go through, because, and that's one of the things between her and Steve Rogers. Like, Steve Rogers could have done all those things too, but Steve Rogers wasn't a fighter. He was the kid who, like, I just want to help people. Like, that was kind of the whole point of him within the cinematic universe, is that, or in general, like within Marvel, that's the point of Steve Rogers, is he is specifically meant to be like, he's the goody two shoes that you actually like. Like, that's basically Steve Rogers. Like, he's the goody two shoes, but you actually enjoy that. He's actually really good, and that's why people follow him, even though you have, every other superhero within the cinematic universe or within the Marvel universe, period. And then you have Steve Rogers, who's really just an enhanced human. He can run faster than most people. He can, heal faster, stuff like that. But ultimately, he's kind of low on the power scale, but he is Captain America, and he's a genuinely good human being. Captain Carter, same thing. She's definitely a good person, but she'll fuck you up. Clearly. I mean, as she does in this whole episode. She's the type of person who's like, oh, okay, I'm going to kill you. Like, that's just how she is. She's like, oh, you want to talk to me? shouldn't have done that. And because then she'll like plow through 5 people and then wait for the one dude to fall down, and then she'll just kick him in the wall. And I'm like, she didn't have to do that, but I love that she did. It's more attractive that way. But it was just fun watching it. Like, she beats up a bunch of people. It's entertaining. The story is really cool. I like how they play around with the stuff when they do the train mission, and I like how it logically changes things, because as they go through, it's like, okay, well, you have the train mission. Originally, it was like, okay, they snuck onto the train and everything, but in this case, the train was specifically meant to be a trap. It wasn't just like, oh, they were prepared and then things kind of fell apart. It was specifically like they only had bombs on the train because the only thing they were doing was trying to take out Steve, because it's like, well, we have this giant freaking machine coming after us. What if we said that this thing is happening? And so the train had a completely different purpose, and I like the way that they kind of played around with that. And of course, they made the reference to Bucky almost falling off the train, and she pulls him up. Was like, thanks, you almost, with her super strength, because she did it so fast. He was like, you almost ripped my arm off. I was like, okay, it's a silly little joke and stuff, but they kind of make a lot of sense, where it's like, oh, no wonder they went after Steve, because to take out this fortress, you would need the Hydra Stomper is what they called it, which is a cool name. So I like that idea. I was like, okay, they changed some of the elements, but they definitely make it work within that new universe, where it's like, this is specifically why that happened in this version of the universe, because in the movie it was just they snuck onto the train to do something, and then things just really fell apart. And in this case, it was like, no, there was never any security on the train or anything like that. It was just a bunch of bombs, because they're just trying to wipe out Steve. So I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. A minor change, but it was interesting how they did that. Just little stuff here and there. I thought it was pretty interesting. So I enjoyed what they did with it, as far as the universe kind of, doing its thing. And they even talk about, like, this is the specific moment that changed. Even though I would also say that the big difference between what changed in this universe versus the movie universe is the fact that everyone was in the waiting room and nobody went up to the thing. Because it was like, the fact that she didn't go up to the waiting room was like the big change. But also, no one did. Like, in the movie, everyone was in the waiting room, and the dude had the bomb and everything. But in this, everyone was, like, actually in the area where they did the test. So I'm like, I feel like I think it was everyone else's options to stay down there versus hers to just be like, no, I think I'll stay here. Like, everyone was in the room, too. She wasn't the only person that stayed. So I thought that was kind of funny, because when I saw the clip after I watched that episode, because it has been forever since I saw the movie, but when I saw the clip, I was like, oh, everybody was in the waiting room. So that was a huge difference. It wasn't just like, this is the moment that changed everything. I'm like, I'm pretty sure she wouldn't have been Captain Carter if everybody was in the room anyway. So it was just a random thing, because I'm like, if she went up to the room and Steve got shot, he wasn't going to be Captain America still. Like, he would have been shot. It wouldn't have made a difference. Like, he was about to get shot no matter what happened. So I thought that was interesting. But aside from that, I thought it was really good. Of course, the ending was definitely cool. And a lot of people said, Shuma Gorath was the big thing, who was rumored to be in Multiverse of Madness, if I'm not mistaken. So many rumors all over the place, all sorts of wild villains coming up. They have Gore the God Butcher. I don't know how. I don't know what to expect from that, but there's some things that might happen, and I hope they do. But, I don't think that was Shuma Gorath. It would have been cool if it was. And they could also just say, like, that's just, it's the animated version of Shuma Gorath. They could easily say that and just reference it in some weird way, because Shuma Gorath has telepathy, so they could just be like, that big scream, their brains couldn't comprehend it, or something, something weird like that. But I don't think that would really work, because the whole point of something being telepathic is that they don't, it's not really talking, it's in your head and you instantaneously know. So they could explain it, I guess, but I don't think it was Shuma Gorath. But either way, it was super cool, and Peggy's just like, all right, I gotta push this thing back through the shield. And I love the sword, by the way. I think that's gonna be her new thing. She's gonna have a sword too, so that'd be sweet. But she's like, I gotta push this thing through, and she goes through the portal, and they do the dramatic stuff of talking about the dance, and it's cool. They still have the romantic attachment to each other between Peggy and Steve. So I thought that was really entertaining. And they do the thing like, hey, you still owe me a dance and stuff. It's like, yeah, 9:00 Saturday. And of course she pushes through the portal, and then that's it. It blows up. She saves the day, and then they're kind of just they're stuck in the past, and boom, 70 years later, and instead of being frozen, she just time travels. The portal just like closes, and she just gets warped through time, and then she pops out basically in Avengers 1, and it's like, hey, we won the war. That was like over 70 years ago. We won. And so it just ends, and she's like, yeah, of course I'll be okay. We won the war. And then it just ends, and I was like, oh, this is really cool. I like the way they handled that, and we'll see. I think next week is supposed to be the Black Panther episode, where instead of becoming Black Panther, I guess T'Challa becomes one of the Guardians of the Galaxy. So I'm excited about that, and we'll see, kind of how things happen going forward. But I really love this first episode. I'm excited for the rest of the series. I wish we could see it all at once like this. I think I'm going to be more excited to see week to week, just because they're going to focus on different characters every week. So I think I'm more excited for this than I have been for some of the other shows. And we'll just, see what happens if they decide to get closer and closer to being like, here's one full story. So I'm excited. I feel like the ending of the episode, this is kind of just my theory going forward. I think the ending of each episode will somehow send them to like the Avengers 1 moment. And then maybe like the last couple of episodes will be basically going through the first Avengers movie, and this is how kind of Avengers 1 ends in the What If universe. So I feel like that's what they might do, and I'm not sure how many episodes there actually are for this first season, or if they're even going to do more than one season, but I like what they've done so far with this first episode. I'm excited for the Black Panther stuff. I'm excited really for the Avengers stuff. Like, they showed it in the What If trailer. I think they showed like 2 versions of like them doing like the dramatic spin around the characters. I think they showed like 2 versions of that maybe, but I want to see that. I'm like, how do these characters get here? How did they become the Avengers? And it's different characters being the Avengers, and it's not just different characters being the Avengers, it's different versions of those characters becoming the Avengers. So I'm really excited to see how all of this kind of ends up coming together, because I do believe it's going to be one whole universe, is the What If universe, and then we'll see what happens. We'll see who ends up kind of shifting over into live action, because I think they're going to do Killmonger live action. I think everyone wants him to come back anyway. Easy way to do it is like, oh, he's the good guy in this universe, and then poof, he gets teleported. Live action, boom. Michael B. Jordan is back again as Killmonger. This time, maybe he hates white people a little bit less. Boom, he's a good guy. So there you go. But I am looking forward to this season. I really enjoyed this first episode. I'm very excited to see what they do going forward, but this is definitely a fun one. I love the action. I don't think every episode is going to have like the action as cool as this one, and that's always been a thing with Captain America. I liked his action because I like hand-to-hand combat. The most he does is throw the shield, which is, kind of short range. In this, it was super long range. When she was on that top of that building, she threw that shield so freaking far. Like, she hit the car and then it bounced back and like it shows her catch it. I'm like, those cars are like a mile away still, and she was on top of the building, and then she did like that super jump, which, like I said earlier, it goes into some of that like super extra over the top action that they can't do in live action. But it was fun to watch because she did like a crazy jump and like landed and everything. I'm like, she jumped so far and she threw that shield so far. And it's just like when she jumped over the fortress wall, it's the same thing. Like, that was a great shot too. Like, I love watching that shot where she jumps up in the air and they have like the moon and she does like a spin in the air, which was totally unnecessary, but it looks sweet. And she just does like a random spin in the air and then she like lands and then kind of drops down into the actual fortress. And I was like, she didn't have to do a cool moonlit spin in the midair. Like, that didn't do anything to add to the aerodynamics. If anything, that slowed her down spinning. But it looks sweet, and so I love that shot. I just thought it looked good, but I was like, that doesn't make sense. Looks phenomenal though. So I just like how they did it. We'll see what happens going forward, but I'm like, I just don't think the action could possibly top what they did in this first episode. I hope I'm wrong, because I would love to see some cool stuff like that, but I think they're going to focus on different elements for each character, because if you're going into Guardians of the Galaxy, they're probably going to dip more into the comedy again. So I think it'll be different, each week going forward. But love this episode. I just don't know how they're going to top it, because I'm like, I don't think I'm going to be as attracted to anybody else. No offense to T'Challa, but, just saying. And the action, I just don't know if it'll be as epic. So we'll see what happens. I'm sure I'll still enjoy it, but I'm just like, I'm always going to be like, if only Captain Carter were here to kind of stomp on me. But it is what it is. We'd love to know your thoughts on this first episode, so please put your comments down in the comment section below. I would love to know what you guys want to see. There's a lot of stuff in the poster. If you have not seen the poster, they show some real crazy stuff. I don't know what we should really expect. The Avengers might actually be going up against Ultron, potentially. I don't know. But I would love to know what you guys want to see from this What If universe, what you guys liked about this episode, didn't like, what don't you want to see from this What If universe, and if there's anything that, at least from the trailers, if you watched it, or maybe some of the stuff you saw in the poster, if there is anything that you want to see even now before we've seen the episode kind of transfer into live action, I would love to know what that is. So please put your comments down in the comment section below, and of course, thanks for watching.